What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys motivation, inspiration, and a ton of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey. And I feel like we are due for a gains train update, and I will be doing that. Oops. I just realized I forgot to turn off my Whoop strap. I just looked at my phone. How many of you guys have done that before? If y'all wear a Whoop, I've done it entirely too many times. And it'll be like 3 hours later, and I look and it like thinks I'm still working out, and it's like you're in your resting heart rate zone. I'm like, that's because I've been resting for the past 3 hours. Anyways, I definitely do need to be. Can't talk right now. What was that movie? Anchorman? No, not Anchorman. The one with Bruce Almighty, where the guy gets like all tongue tied. That's what I just was thinking of. Wow, I'm off to a great start. Two weeks in a row where I'm just rambling in the beginning, guys. I am due for an update on the gains train, and I am planning on updating you guys a little bit on that this week. I got to tell you, like this ups and downs of my health journey is so frustrating that I have like good days and bad days, good weeks and bad weeks, and it's just been a battle, and it's honestly really mentally taxing. Anybody that's ever dealt with any kind of health issues that just kind of seem like they're chronic, I know you guys can relate. But this has been almost going on, I want to say about 18-ish months where I just don't feel like myself most days. And it's super frustrating. But I'm trying to remind myself to be grateful for all the things that I do have and the fact that I am still making progress as slow as it is, and not letting the days that I don't feel great really negatively impact me mentally, because it's really hard. I've always had so many things to be like happy about in my life, and I still do. But when I just don't feel good, there's things right now that I think that people take for granted. And here I am talking about my gains. I should probably just start talking about it. Why not? Right. So here's a simple thing. Yesterday I was walking and I'm still in pain when I walk. And it's like things like that people take for granted, just to be able to go for a walk outside in the sun and not feel pain. I'm still dealing with things like that. And some days are better than others. Um, and still trying to figure out answers as to why things are off. So it's like at some point you just almost give up, and I can't, because if I don't get answers, I'm just going to continue to go backwards. So I'm doing the best that I can, and I will give you guys an update, but this episode is not about me. This episode is about a different topic, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about it because I love CrossFit. However, it is somewhat relative to what I'm going through, because I don't think that CrossFit itself played a factor in this, but I do think that the personality type of somebody that knows how to push past threshold and push through pain, often we ignore the signs that our body is giving us. And it kind of has led me a little bit down a negative path. Um, but today, I want to really get you guys to understand what matters most for you if you are looking to get the most out of CrossFit, and see benefits and changes. If you're struggling to lose weight and you're doing CrossFit and you're wondering why you can't lose weight, if you're struggling with, maybe you've been doing CrossFit for a long time and you've been injured a bunch, found yourself in a negative spot there. Hold on one second, because my computer just unplugged. Sorry. Um, but yeah, maybe you're honestly like me, and you've gotten to a place where like your body's just not feeling good. It's not responding the way that it used to with CrossFit. Maybe you're a woman, in your 40s and 50s, and you're being told that CrossFit is a bad way for you to train. And I want to kind of go over what you guys need to understand about CrossFit methodology that's going to help you get the most out of your CrossFit training. Because I do full heartedly believe that CrossFit is a well balanced program. And when programmed effectively, can be something that we can all do for the rest of our lives and get the benefits out of it. I mean, if you look at some of the masters athletes, that are 60 plus, 65 plus, it's amazing the things that they can do. And it all comes down to making sure that you are taking care of yourself. And what I also find is that CrossFitters tend to live a lifestyle that is different than your typical person. And we do have a little bit more of an emphasis on wanting to ensure that we can optimize our gym performance. And I think that that comes down to the fact that we don't just chase an aesthetic look. We also chase, like, I want to feel good for my workouts, right? Like, we don't go to the gym like, oh, I'm just going to mosey through my leg extensions and this and that. Like, you see the workout, the open workout, like for instance, the open just passed, and you're like, oh, I really want to get a good night's sleep. I really want to make sure I'm fueled properly because I want to do really well at this workout. And I think that that can be such a good benefit to keeping people outside of their gym routine in check. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But today we're talking hormones and CrossFit. So, first and foremost, I want to explain to you guys that there are some positives and there are some negative sides of the impact that CrossFit has on your hormones. And I want to start with the positive stuff first because I think that that often gets overlooked. Um, CrossFit by nature does have a neuroendocrine response, which means that it does elicit positive changes on our endocrine system. Primarily, we are going to see changes in our testosterone levels, our insulin like growth factors, and our human growth hormone levels. These are all really good things for helping us to maintain good bone structure, helping us with hormone balance, helping us as we age, helping us keep our lean muscle tissue on, helping to keep the integrity of our tendons and ligaments. Overall, those benefits are good, but in order to get those benefits, we have to be following a CrossFit program that does include regular strength training. And that means that if you're somebody that only shows up when it's the cardio days and you're missing out on the heavy lifting days, or you're skipping out on going heavy because you want to save it for the CrossFit Metcons, you're missing out on that neuroendocrine response. And that's why you'll see that if you ever go to like CrossFit.com, there are days where the workout of the day might just be squats, or it might just be snatches. It might just be deadlifts or one single modality strength movement because they want you to get the most benefit out of that very thing. Now, where I feel like we could always do better is on those days, I'm totally fine with people adding in some accessory work. I think that that's a great day to be like, I'm focusing primarily on maximizing my lift. And I want to also just maximize maybe some light, checking, working on imbalances like single leg work and stuff like that, that we don't typically hit a lot of in CrossFit. I think it's a great compliment, but you want to make sure that you're hitting those heavy lifts. Now, that's the main thing that you have to understand when it comes to the positive benefits of CrossFit. I think other benefits of CrossFit that aren't, they're somewhat hormone related, but more like neurotransmitter related, like dopamine, serotonin, is like the mood boost we get, the adrenaline we get. All of that stuff can really boost our mood throughout the day and just make us feel good. And I think that it's similar to what people get when they run. I think that there's a similarity, like runners typically also like that from CrossFit as well. But I also want to talk about some of the negative things that people don't understand about CrossFit. And it's why a lot of people run into trouble and they don't recover enough. And then they end up burned out, injured, and walking away from CrossFit with a bad attitude. CrossFit does have another positive benefit of CrossFit before we get into is its insulin response. So we do see a positive response in changes in our blood sugar levels. So people that are like diabetic and stuff like that, you guys can actually help regulate your blood sugar level by CrossFit. I forgot to mention that one as a positive because as I was about to go into the negative, I was going to talk about some other things. When it comes to the negative stuff about CrossFit, in terms of hormones, the main thing that we have to understand is the stress response from CrossFit, and that there's a dose of that can become, well, there's a dose of it that's effective, and then there's a dose of it that can become overkill. Okay. So CrossFit does have an impact on our cortisol levels, but any high intensity training is going to have that response. And a lot of people don't understand that chronically elevating those cortisol levels and not bringing them down can cause other hormonal issues and also cause issues with your blood sugar. So it's really important to understand that recovery from CrossFit and not overtraining has got to be your priority if you want to have longevity in a training modality like CrossFit, if you want to get the best benefits of it. Anything in excess is not going to be good for the body. Runners can overdo it. Weightlifters can overdo it. Even people in yoga can overdo it. I'm going to be honest. Every time I sign up for like GoWOD or ROMWOD and I start stretching, I injure myself because I'm just intense by nature. So I'm like, I should be going as deep as possible. And the next thing I know, I've got a freaking hamstring or a hip flexor tightness or something like that. But yeah, we don't want those cortisol levels to stay elevated for long periods of time. We've got to know how to regulate those. CrossFit has a huge effect on our central nervous system, which regulates all of our hormones. So we could also see changes in our thyroid hormones as well if we are not watching our intensity, our recovery, and our obviously our training volume. And a lot of people that get into CrossFit when they first start, they are really pumping the volume up because they're like drinking the Kool-Aid and they're excited. And the changes that they don't want to happen with their cortisol levels and stuff, they don't notice that they're happening because they're so subtle. They happen over time. It takes a couple of years for that stuff to kind of set in. So it's important for you guys to monitor that and kind of almost be proactive about it rather than waiting for it to be too late. The other consideration when it comes to hormones and CrossFit is knowing where your current hormonal status is as you're going into CrossFit and as you're doing CrossFit. So for a lot of my women in particular, in their 40s and 50s, maybe even in their 30s, if you don't have any idea what your hormone profile looks like, you need to get that checked. If you have symptoms of anything, because if you have things like low estrogen levels, you are going to be more injury prone. That is estrogen is a hormone that our body does need to help keep our tendons and ligaments recovering. In fact, a lot of what I've dealt with in terms of injuries this past year is due to some hormonal imbalances. And as I always tell you guys, I will share my personal stuff because I want you to know firsthand that I've experienced it. And that stuff can negatively impact the effectiveness of CrossFit for you. So you want to make sure that you know where your hormones are at right now as well. And now I want to kind of talk about shifting into, knowing the pros and cons of the positive and benefits, or the positive and negative sides of the hormonal change that we see with CrossFit, how we can really look to optimize our CrossFit training and our lifestyle in order to get the most out of CrossFit. Because most of you guys listening to this, it's because you want to do CrossFit. And I hate when I hear people say, you shouldn't do CrossFit. CrossFit's bad for your body. CrossFit's not good for body composition. CrossFit's bad for women. CrossFit's bad for people that are going through menopause. CrossFit's going to cause it, just so many negative things. And they don't focus on the reason why those negative things happen with CrossFit. And it typically comes down to overtraining, not moving well, and not eating the right types of foods or enough food. And I'm going to kind of I'm going to go over some of the things that you guys need to be doing differently if you want to get the most out of it. So, number one is you want to make sure, and this is going to be hard, that you are checking your ego. Okay. If you are going into the gym every single day and the sole purpose is like, I want to have the top name on the board, or I'm embarrassed if I'm not over here on the board, or I want to have the highest weight, or even you're just measuring yourself up against like old weights and you're always trying to like be better, be better, be better. It's really hard not to get caught up in that, but that ego is also going to lead to injury. Okay. Or it's going to lead to burnout because every day you're testing yourself. Every time you walk into the gym, you're testing yourself. That's the central nervous system response that's keeping you hyper alert and making it really hard on you. Whereas if you just go into the gym some days and you do the best you can, you get a good workout in and you likely will feel better. In fact, in a lot of my workouts now, that's how I live. Like, I'm like, okay, like this morning when I was doing my workout and it had some sandbag cleans in it. And like, I forget what the time domain was meant to be. But I'm like, you know what? Like, I know I could really like push these cleans and like run into the GHG and then run to the ski erg. But I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to pace the first couple of rounds. I'm going to speed up as I go. And I was okay with that. Did it mean that I didn't get fitter? Absolutely not. I know I could have pushed myself harder, but like, I wasn't trying to. I was trying to train. I was trying to be like, you know what? Let me focus on really using my hips on these sandbag cleans. Let me really be aggressive. Let me, make sure I'm moving with good movement quality. I don't want to get injured. Like, I'm happy that I can do CrossFit and feel good. And I want to be able to continue to do CrossFit. Okay. So number one is you got to check your ego. You got to stop worrying about what other people think. In fact, nobody else really gives a shit. I'm gonna be honest. Most people don't care about your scores. They don't have any. If anything, they're just like, good job. Like they're not comparing yourself. And if they are, they're likely not something that you want to associate yourself with anyways. So just saying. Number two is You need to make sure that you're looking at your sleep quality and your stress levels outside of the gym. So, obviously, not everybody can optimize getting in like that 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I mean, it would be great, right? But we can't all do that. So, what we do want to make sure we're doing though is that we're trying to make sure the quality of the sleep that we do get is as good as possible. And this means things like making sure that you're sleeping in a cool, dark room, making sure that you're having good, nighttime habits that are setting you up to like stay in, deep sleep. I'm going to talk a little bit about nutrition and how that can affect your sleep. If you train in the evenings, making sure that you're eating after your workout, but you're also letting yourself, like your central nervous system, come down from that so you can get to bed. You want to really make sure that you're optimizing your sleep the best you can. And yes, the night that you can get more sleep, get more sleep. In fact, I do think that a lot of CrossFitters would benefit from getting in some of their harder training days on days where they can be a little bit more relaxed in the morning, versus like, I got to get up and get to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day. Like, what would it be like to train Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday, and then train like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Like, I don't know, like giving yourself a day where you can just like maybe a Saturday and a Sunday where you can go to the gym. And I know not Sunday, I guess Sunday is kind of hard because people have other things, but I do think that some people could benefit from being able to kind of give themselves a little bit more time to sleep. And stress levels. Like, and when I talk about stress levels, obviously, guys, we can't control stressors that are coming in our lives, but we can control our reaction to them. So if you're like hyper reactive to everything and you feel like you've got to like put out every fire that comes your way, you're likely living in fight or flight all day. So trying to learn to be a little bit less reactive. I know this sounds dumb, but this is also going to help your CrossFit training. You have to learn how to relax a little bit. And I know this because, there was a time in my life in my CrossFit career where I mean my job was coaching and I didn't really have other responsibilities and I loved coaching. And it was easy for me to kind of go from coaching to CrossFit, my training, take a little break, hit my second session, finish training or finish coaching and then go home. Like my life was pretty stress free. But now I have a lot more stressors in my life. I have a lot more things that I take care of, so I have to learn how to I can't put every fire out. I've got to learn how to kind of, central nervous system needs to come down. And sometimes CrossFit has to give a little bit. I have to take my intensity down in the gym. You've got to learn how to manipulate that. The next thing is also focusing on mobility and stretching, which I think that a lot of people neglect, myself included. So CrossFit does require us to get through full range of motion in a lot of movements that people aren't comfortable with. And especially if you're from a traditional gym, you're probably not used to getting into like really low squats or that the full range of motion that an overhead squat might force you to get into. Those positions are going to be fixed obviously through doing more of them, but also taking some time between your sessions, like when you're at home watching TV, like grab a foam roller and, roll out your quads, do some stretching. That stuff is going to help you so much. And a lot of us sit throughout our day and we need to make sure that we're taking that time. I've been trying to be more mindful of it myself. Anything you can do to kind of just give yourself a little bit. And I'm not actually the kind of person that thinks that you need like a formal stretching, like hour routine. I do think that like every few hours, like maybe just hitting a stretch is actually more effective. Like maybe you get up to use the bathroom and you decide I'm going to, just sit and hang out here. It's been a heavy chest day. We did bench press today. I'm going to open up my chest a little bit in the door frame. Like that stuff can go so much further than nothing at all or waiting to have an hour to actually stretch. And this is the boring stuff, I know. Now I'm going to get into some of the more important things, and we're going to talk about nutrition. Okay. I am going to be hosting a 3-day workshop for nutrition for the average CrossFitter, and I'm really excited about this because nutrition is the foundation. In fact, if you look at the hierarchy of CrossFit, the very bottom is nutrition. And I hands down think that sleep and recovery should be down there as well, and lifestyle. But if you guys are not dialing in your nutrition and you're chronically, low energy, you're, injured all the time, you're not able to control your appetite, you're gaining weight, you're just not feeling good, your hormones are out of whack, you should get your nutrition in check. And nutrition isn't just, oh, I'm going to count my macros or, oh, I'm going to cut out these food groups. It's like, are you getting enough of the right things? That's what matters most. And are you getting too much of the wrong things? That's really what you guys need in order to maximize your nutrition for CrossFit, no matter what your goals are. If you're looking to lose body fat, if you're looking to maintain your weight, if you're looking to perform better in the gym, if you want to be more recovered, any of those things, you have to make sure that you've got the nutrition dialed in. The next thing that I want to talk about is, like I had already kind of alluded to, but is overtraining. And it's really easy to get hung up in, I want more, I want more, I want more. If I do more, I'll get better. You have to know how to add smart volume in if you have adapted to the amount of training that you're doing, and not just add more junk volume. And I think that a lot of early CrossFitters can relate to, in the beginning, it was like, let's just do more Metcons. It's like, oh, I did this Metcon in the morning. Let me do this Metcon in the afternoon. And I can remember, back in the day when I was up at CrossFit New England, we would all have our training for the day. And I'd be like, oh, let's see what's on the CrossFit.com website. And we'll do that too. Oh, let's see what, the monster mash is from, uh, oh God, I can't think, linchpin, like, oh, Pat Sherwood. We'll do that today too. We would always just find ways to add stuff in. It was like, yeah, that's great, but it's also going to break your body down. So make sure that if you're adding in volume, you're adding in the right things. I think that adding in skill work, some aerobic work, like I already mentioned, accessory type work to work on imbalances, are all good things that they often don't emphasize a lot of in your CrossFit classes. Some do, but that can all be things that you guys can do to help out a little bit with your CrossFit journey. So that's important for you guys to understand, because you don't want to overtrain yourself. Overtraining will typically lead to bad things. And I want to, lastly, just leave up on a couple of things just to give you guys some quick tips here, especially if you train early in the morning. And this is common. Like, a lot of CrossFitters are training early in the morning and they're going to work and they're sitting all day. Make sure that you're getting in some calories after your workout, because oftentimes what people don't realize is their energy starts to drop and they don't even associate, man, I had a hard workout this morning and now my energy sucks. And it's kind of leading you up into under recovering. And then later in the day, you're starving, your appetite's out of control. So I would say, if I could leave you with a couple of tips today, if you're a CrossFitter, easiest tip is make sure that you're eating some calories after your workout, mostly protein and carbohydrates. Do not demonize carbohydrates. Make sure you're getting in enough carbs in your diet. Number two, I think that taking a food audit, if you're somebody that is interested in, like, hey, let's see where I'm at, because if you're not eating enough calories and the right type of calories, you are going to see a negative impact on your hormones with any type of training, but CrossFit primarily because of the impact on your central nervous system. So let's see what your calorie intake looks like. Let's see what it looks like from a quality perspective and dial those things in. So number one, eating post-workout. Number two, taking a food audit, actually tracking your food and getting an idea for where you're at. And then number three, I'm going to leave a plug out here to join my upcoming workshop. And I'm going to put a link in my show notes for my Facebook group, because the Facebook group is where I'm going to be posting the link. So if you sign up for my Facebook group, if you're not already in there, go ahead and get signed up for that. And you're going to get the link to the workshop. It's going to be 3 days. There will be replays available where I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know about CrossFit and nutrition. And I'm super excited for that. I'm going to hop over to the comments and see if there's any questions or anything, because that was the main thing that I wanted to go over to. What's up, guys? I see Kenneth, Corey, Wad Zombie. Oh man, I got Wad Zombie on today. Oh, I should have been looking at these earlier. Thank you so much. I am happy, Nick, that I look good today. I don't feel so refreshed, but if I look good, I'm happy about that. I don't have my glasses on today. I have them on now. No. Yeah, but anyways, I'm just taking a look at things. If I miss anything. Hobart said it best. CrossFit works. Even when applied poorly, it still works. One of the best things I've ever heard him say. I would agree to a degree. I think that even when applied poorly, it doesn't work. I'm going to be honest. At the end of the day, I think that would be where a lot of people end up burned out, and then they move away from CrossFit. So and that's just like anything. If you can't stick to it, it didn't work for you. So I think that CrossFit works. I should say this, CrossFit will always work, but some people don't realize that they're not doing CrossFit. They think they're doing CrossFit. How about that, Corey? I think that some people emphasize the wrong things and think that they're doing CrossFit. Like, I think people just think that CrossFit is high intensity training. That's what I think people think it is. It's just like going balls to the wall every single day and killing yourself. And then, like, we just care so much about the leaderboard, which is what a lot of people do. And it shouldn't be. So, just taking a look at everything else. I do love a good Metcon though, Corey. I am definitely back in the day when I was in my CrossFit prime, they called me the Metcon monster. I was just known for being the CrossFit engine. I was kind of like a younger version of Sam Briggs, not quite that fit, but I was close. In fact, I came closer a few times in some workouts, but yeah. So listen, if you guys want to get some CrossFit tips for nutrition, I'm doing a workshop. I'll be putting the all the information out on my Instagram coming up probably tomorrow or Thursday. And it's already going to be in my Facebook group. But that's what I got for y'all today. Hope y'all have a great day.